Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the interview series. I'm Dr. Melissa Petersen, your host, and right now I am joined by Dr. Stephanie Rimka. She is the founder of Brain Body Solutions. Her practice was voted the best mental health practice in Atlanta, and she is the rest revolutionary. She's a primal health expert that is here today to help each and every one of us regain control to take back our health. Dr. Stephanie, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Dr. Melissa. I am so happy to be here. And that was such an amazing introduction. I think I'm going to have to borrow that, right? I like it. Take control. That's what I think. We're all feeling really out of control. And I love that you're taking a stand to help remind people, no. I decide.
Yes. And that's why I'm really glad. I mean, you are a powerhouse of wisdom, of clinical knowledge. And while we will have many interviews and could really go into so much today because of all that's kind of happening in the world this time, I look at it really as a time of catalyst, of opportunity, of disruption, but of an invitation into each of us getting to ask ourselves at a deeper level, what's really going on, right? What's going on for me? And one of the things that made me really want to bring you into this series and have this conversation is you said, let's really think about what is truly going on here in our health. We're so busy fighting this enemy, yet foundationally, what needs to happen in our systems that can allow each and every one of us to be resilient, regardless of the pathogen that's out there. So I really want to kind of turn it over to you and help us to get right to the heart of the matter. Where do we need to bring our focus today so that we can rapidly up-level our systems to truly thrive?
Wow. Okay. So what I was going to say might be just changed based on what you said there.
Okay.
Because this is a powerful moment, and how we choose to navigate this moment says a lot of really who we are. And if you're being amplified, it's going to amplify and magnify what you are and who you are today. Your frequency that you're resonating is based upon what you've practiced in the past. So if you're feeling like excited and encouraged and see this as opportunity, well, we know what you've been working on, right? If you're contracted and terrified and in scarcity and overwhelm, well, I know what you've been practicing, because what you practice grows, and it happens at a foundational level. We can just say straight up what goes on in the brain, neural networks. What you practice grows. It actually happens on the deep cellular level. It happens therefore in your frequency, your field, if you want to get esoteric with it. So I will talk about like health, and I'm going to say things like leptin, and we're going to talk about maybe food and just building the immune system. But from that deeper state, are you using this time to be with yourself? Have you ever practiced feeling? Or do you distract and numb out all the time? Alcohol sales are through the roof. People have memes all over the place talking about quarantine 15. Gaining weight is through the roof. People are consuming Netflix in ways in epic proportions. So are you needing to numb out, shut down with more video consumption, more food, sugar consumption, more alcohol consumption? Or are you able to take advantage of the quiet, of the stillness, of the opportunity to reset your emotional self, your physiological self, your spiritual self? And you've been practicing this for a very long time. I've been practicing this. We've been preparing. We've been preparing our patients. We've been preparing our students and everyone in our lives to be like, oh, okay. Well, if you haven't been preparing, this is extremely stressful, right? Well, you couldn't ask for a better time to finally start, because we're all online now. There's more online programs. Your therapist is online. Everybody's doing everything we can to help you practice something new. So one, I think an awareness of quiet, of being still, of feeling. And that's when you start to have an opportunity to truly heal from an emotional, if we get into psychoneuroimmunology and what the emotions are doing, the psychology and traumas and things that are stuck that you just haven't resolved. We all have had things happen, right? Okay, doesn't mean it's detrimentally, hurting you. It just means, have you dealt with it, or did you push it away? Did you numb it down with porn? Did you numb it down with drugs? Are you unable to manage it? And is it showing up as an autoimmune disorder now? Or is it showing up as a psychiatric diagnosis? Is it showing up as a sleep disorder? Because you've had no awareness and you've been too busy and churning like a little hamster on a wheel, and you haven't had an opportunity to be still and listen to who you are and where it's telling you in your body what you need to pay attention to. So that wasn't what I thought I was going to say.
Well, and that's really foundational to who you are, and as the rest revolutionary, right? I mean, because I've had the pleasure to know you personally and professionally for over 20 years, and you've transformed a lot of lives. And it's really over the past 18 months that you have settled into such a foundational tenet of like, look, everybody's just, you're so darn busy. You're so out there. Like you got to plant your butt here, right? And so you have been already out there, an early adopter, sharing with people to be still, be here, be quiet, be now, like be in this place so that you can begin to truly heal. And so one of the things that's happening is yes, we're seeing these disproportionate numbers of people that are infected, and this fear of, is this going to take my life? What does this mean if I'm infected? Because if we really look at the health numbers or the dis-ease numbers in our country, it makes us have to take pause to say, why are we in such imbalance? Because if we're ever going to successfully create a resilient internal physiological health structure, it will require us to do exactly what you're saying, which is first to be still. So we continue to seek outside of us. We continue to seek the next pill, the next vaccine, the next kind of wonder solution. Everybody's externally focused.
Do you hear this? Do you hear that coming? Is it awful?
It's not bad. I really wouldn't have heard it had you not just said, do you hear that coming? I'm like, what? No. Oh, there it is. I hear it now.
Lesson for me, but my psyche is creating a machine that's creating a lot of noise and energy to not make me be able to be quiet. So as long as your listeners, I can center through it. I just want to make sure we're good. Okay.
Well, and how appropriate, right? Because there is always distraction in life, always. And even now, as life has come to a different rhythm, brought us all to a time of just pause in a new way. Yes. And yet there's still, like you said, so some of us are checking out, some of us are numbing out, some of us are not. And I was listening, I was on a conversation with another doc the other day, Dr. Keisha, and she refers to it as digesting your emotions. And I think that that's such a powerful kind of way to approach this. Like, are we actually digesting our emotions, or are we not, right? Are we pushing things away and down? And that's kind of the numbing effect. And
it's very clear culturally we numb. I mean,
of course.
Americans are not known to be adept with emotional intelligence and how to process through that.
And so now we're in this time, whether we want to or not, we are being given the opportunity to become more adept at practicing emotional intelligence. And I would love for you to give us some insight, because again, if the answer isn't out there and yet we're still focused, oh my gosh, it's this thing, it's this virus, it's outside of us, what's it going to do if it gets in us, it feeling almost helpless. So step one, I want you to support us in reconnecting to the power that we have within. And I heard you say step one is be still, right? So we have this time right now. Instead of numbing, what if we were to just simply be present? And what is it that we need to do to be aware of, to be, supportive of within ourselves, that if we are willing, even in baby steps, to start just being like, okay, I'm here, like it or not, I'm here. How do we move from the here and now into enhancing this system, right? To be resilient, regardless of what the pathogen is outside of us.
Right. Because that's what it comes down to, that looking for this external savior that's going to come rescue me. For me, I don't live in a world of there's some white knight magical drug, potion, or powder that's going to alleviate all of my pain and discomfort. Because there's nothing that's ever going to hold the intelligence that's designed within me naturally, right? There is even the greatest physician is no match for even the most broken, deranged organ. Like a really bad kidney, you know, is still smarter than the physician trying to take care of it. Like that's just the nature of it. We're not that smart actually, as far as that cortex is trying to figure out compared to what is happening inside of us. And so coordinating in such a symphony, you know, of an algorithm mathematically, nobody has figured out. Like, let's just, every, you know, neuroscientist, every mathematician, are like, we still can't figure out how that scab is happening. I mean, what is going on, right? It's so insanely magical and orchestrated for us, thankfully. So that being said, that's what I want people to remember. Like, not to sound woo-woo, but I'll be okay with it, that you are a divine creator in every moment. My body is always healing. My body is always doing the right thing. It is not confused. It is not stupid. It does not need like redirection on knowing what to do. Now, I might have to stop poisoning it. I might have to help it from, you know, you can't, if I've got a swimming pool, I can't keep having somebody, you know, filling it with garbage on the one end while I have the pool cleaner on the other. Like you, so looking at that. So I have to be aware of that, right? So just, it's that thinking. It's this idea that people think I'm hopeless, and there's, you know, and I think the idea of using the term autoimmune has been a way we've brainwashed people into thinking something is so deranged, and that's why I don't like to use it. So that's just a concept. Now, how do you get there? There's a few ways. What I like to do with my patients or students in my courses is try to align their biochemical, neurochemical, their chemistry into being aligned with how I want to nudge them along. So they're not fighting to feel calm against their own chemistry. So what does that mean? It means a few things. One, I have to care about their sleep, because a sleep deprived person is extremely difficult to help feel calm or peaceful. They don't think rationally, you know, to bring that part of the brain, you know, the cortex, and this is the emotional brain. They're all like, you know, you don't sleep a few nights. You and I we have children, right? I can remember what it's like, you know, to not sleep for a few days. The world is grayer, everything's darker. You can't problem solve. You certainly don't have the patience. You know, hope dwindles very quickly based upon sleep. That's just the emotional aspect. And then there's a real immune suppression and lack of healing that goes on from that. So I deal with sleep, right? And ways I teach them to do that, we augment it in multiple ways. But breathing is a huge way we teach people. So simple, so in your control. Yeah. That costs me nothing. I'm in total control of how I breathe. And so there's different practices all over the place. I teach it, you teach it. We've got a million people teaching these nasal breathing techniques, and box breathing, and inhale, longer exhales, all kinds of ways to do it where you, boom, I can control my nervous system with my breath. And for people that understand, like, I don't need a prescription for that. It is stronger than most of those pills in what it's doing to control my neurology. So I use getting people good sleep, I use breath, and then I do use primal ways of eating that put them more in alignment to being a human being, which is naturally designed to be a compassionate, impulse-controlled, high empathetic individual with tons of beautiful fat and cholesterol and all these micronutrients, which turns off the animal lizard brain and says, oh, I'm good, we're safe, there's no need to war, there's no need to pack on fat, there's no need to mount an immune response, I'm safe. So I use these things to bring an entire system into alignment. So then when you start teaching visualization ideas and you start looking at a lab with them and saying, well, look, I got this leptin number on you. It's controlling your immune system and it's too high. So let's help lower it. Oh, okay. They can take it in and they can learn very easily versus trying to push against their chemical, system. I don't want to work with somebody if they're in a hurricane. I want to calm the storm, and suddenly everything's really easy to nudge them along and have optimal health, right?
Well, and let's think about that. Beginning to bring ourselves into a place where we are not fighting against ourselves is in essence what the work you do with your clients and in your students in your programs, what you're sharing with us today. And so step one, I talk about, like all of us do, like you said, breath. That is such a profound, immediate way. Another step you said is about being here right now, being present with that breath and focusing on how do we get better sleep. Now, I want to pause for a moment, kind of two things to this. A, you happen to be outside right now. And I think it's kind of intentional as to why you're choosing to spend your time outside. Talk to us just about that and how that's going to evoke a better night's sleep and kind of what that's doing on a cellular level right now by choosing to do this interview outside.
Yeah. I choose to spend most of my time, if I wasn't in an interview, I'd be showing a lot more skin and I would be in more direct sunlight. But in terms of just being somewhat professional, I usually don't show that much skin. And and so if I have to be inside, I'm under a bunch of very special fake lights as well. So because I like human and I like to study what is a human and how do they move, how do they breathe, how do they think, what do they eat? Well, they're exposed and immersed in nature. Throughout our history, until very, very recently, we weren't surrounded by technology. We didn't have computers, we didn't have lights, we didn't have this much artificial electricity running through us and everything that we're in. So being out here, I'm doing something by getting natural sunlight and also just neurologically, me seeing all the leaves behind me, and I know you have University of Michigan studies, I change my brainwave structure to be calmer and to be a better problem solver just by being in nature. That's proven fact. You change your neurology from the environment that you're in, and nature always supports it. It makes you focus better, it makes you concentrate harder, and you are a better problem solver. You're more curious in nature than you are sitting in an office. Now, that's not really why I'm doing it, but I like to get the full spectrum of sunlight on my body. And I do think this is a huge problem with what we're seeing with the coronavirus complications. People who are lacking sunlight, full spectrum from the morning through the midday. So infrared A light in the morning and sunset, sunrise, sunset. And in the middle, we get these beautiful UVA, UVB rays that most people are familiar with. They just talk about UVB and vitamin D. Well, vitamin D3 is just one thing that's happening, and it's D3 plus 1,000 metabolites when you make it from the sun. You don't get those metabolites when you take it from a pill. So you're missing a huge part. When you just pull things out of nature and try to magnify them, that's not nature. And I'm okay with artificial inputs. I'm okay with that when you have to use them therapeutically. But you have a resource right here of the sunlight where I'm increasing my D3 immune system. I'm increasing my nitric oxide cardiovascular system, immune system, hypertension. I have much higher nitric oxide levels. We're seeing in coronavirus, people with low nitric oxide, they're getting devastated. People with low D3, they're getting devastated. It does something more than that. It changes me on an electrical level. It's called redox potential because what it's doing inside my cell, we have water. We have water, right? And this thing dehydrates me. This thing hydrates me. It actually makes this water inside my cell have a very special structure called like gel water. It holds a charge differently. I hold a charge from being in the sun. And that charge gives me a life force. Look at it that way, right? You can be at 30% battery, you can be at 100% battery. People who are walking around 80, 90, 100%, they fear nothing. We don't need to fear big, bad boogeyman bug. Doesn't matter. The coronavirus is actually a weak, pathetic virus. The fact that a weak, pathetic virus has crippled an entire globe is a problem. Why has it done that? Because most people are walking around with extremely low D3 and all the metabolites, extremely bad nitric oxide, very low redox potential, which you can measure with something like a bun creatine ratio from a blood lab. You can see that people are dehydrated, can't mount charges. They can't then balance their electrolytes anymore. They can't create magnetic pulses from their mitochondria. It's a whole bunch of stuff I'm saying, I realize. But this is what they're not understanding. You are a battery, and the sunlight is recharging you. My skin is a solar pack to charge me and my brain with energy, right? So it's anti-inflammatory, it's free nutrition, it's powerful.
It is.
So
I'm
when
so,
I'm
go ahead.
inside, I artificial lights though. What I'm saying, those
Yeah.
artificial lights drain me and they change the structure. I can no longer make as big of a charge. I can no longer heal. That being said, all your hormones like leptin and insulin, those are light signals as well. So to me, the light is your light nutrition is a huge thing, and it goes hand in hand with your food nutrition. Your food diet and the light diet have to make sense. Food is just captured light. Whatever I eat, it's just the sunlight that something turned into something for me to eat. I choose to eat primarily high DHA, high cholesterol, high animal fat protein, because that is a foundation of who I am. That is what my brain is. It's a big animal fatty organ, right? So I eat those things. I extract all this amazing nutrition, including very special water, because I don't know if you could get into it, it's deuterium depleted water. It's very special water that goes inside the cell that you're not getting from other things, right? And it keeps my hormones where they're supposed to be, so they are master coordinators of my immune system. Your immune system is coordinated and controlled by leptin. People don't think of that. They don't know about that hormone. I can change my leptin blood levels in like 12 hours based upon what I'm eating. So this is the perfect time. People should, and does anybody measure serum leptin in a hospital? No. Are we tracking anybody's serum leptin and even levels in the hospitals right now to say, what's the correlation between these people and who's on a ventilator and who doesn't go to a hospital and who goes to a hospital? I guarantee you all these people have high leptin. They're leptin resistant, which makes them obese, over fat, diabetic, hypertensive, cardiovascular disease, but they're being normalized to saying, well, they don't have asthma or COPD, so they didn't have a condition. Are you kidding me? Leptin controls their immune system. Leptin is a cytokine. It's a cytokine storm that is causing problems with people. So it's all this invisible stuff that's not being talked about that I want people to understand. When I eat steak and I eat eggs and I eat sardines, I'm keeping a super low leptin. I'm flooding myself with things that build my charge. When I combine that with the sunlight, you're making yourself as superhuman as you possibly can with pretty much free stuff. I mean, you're going to eat something.
Yeah.
And are you choosing to eat something that's going to heal you, build your immune system, keep your hormones to a point? No little pathetic virus is going to take me down with that. But with one meal, with a whole bunch of cake, cookies, and some beer and some wine, boy, did I just devastate my immune system. I just created blood sugar so high, insulin so high, it's going to glycate all my antibodies. They're no longer going to work. The receptors of my white blood cells, they're not going to work. And you wonder why you got sick. And then as soon as you get a fever, what do? You grab some damn Tylenol because you don't like a fever. You think it's a bad thing. And now you've just destroyed your immune system even more. Yippee. You wonder why they're getting so sick in the hospital?
Yeah.
And you see, it's a formula for lack of health, lack of sunlight, lack of nature.
Yeah.
So they end up with
and high technology, high stress, high sugar diet.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
I use technology. I just do things to counter it. I track my time with it.
Yeah.
I step away. You know what I mean? Like,
we literally had this conversation in my house last night with my just about to be 13-year-old and who's on spring break right now. So the idea for him is like, oh, more screen time. And yet he did so good yesterday. We're like, you got to balance it. 30 minutes on, you've got to at least have an hour off. And we talked about this concept and what I was saying last night, I said, think of it all like a stack. Right? Like all these inputs are coming into our system and they're stacking up. And so what are we stacking in? And if we just keep stacking more stress upon more stress, more sugar upon more sugar, more, more screen time upon more screen time, less sleep upon less sleep, no natural sunlight. Like if we keep stacking all of these signals versus the things like you said today, like, okay, what would be a counterbalance? What would be something that wouldn't make that ramp up as fast and as high? All right, well, let's make sure that we're eating some good, healthy, right, fats and meats. Let's make sure we're eating good whole food from the ground that's got light in it. So let's think of green leafies. Let's go ahead and think about good quality sleep. Let's think about hydration. Let's think about taking time out in sun to recharge that battery. So it's really interesting, Dr. Rimka, of what you're saying, because I'm right there with you. And if we all just thought about it that simply, right? Like, just, you got two sides. And so what are you putting in? And how are you counterbalancing it? Because at the beginning, middle, and end of the day, at our basic level, right? Life is homeostasis. It's that state of balance. And so when we go into dis-ease is when we're out of balance in a negative way, right? We can enhance and upregulate the system when we're, like you said, you are superhuman. There is no little virus or bug that's going to get you, because you absolutely know that you are stacking the deck in your favor in your system, and you are amplifying your charge, your vitality, the function of your chemistry, both, your cognitive, your neurochemistry, your hormones, every aspect of your body. And this is something that each and every one of us can do. And then we don't have a pandemic, right?
Right.
And the pandemic is really how we have been leading our lives. And so today you're giving us the invitation to take back control. And it can start by simply looking at what is free, what is right there, and understanding the purpose of some of this. So I love how you said, you, as a primal health expert, you study humans. I think that's so great. Of course you do. And you study what affects the human and our physiology and what is natural and innate to us. I know we've only got a few minutes left, and this has been really powerful, very uplifting and inspiring, and I'm sure engaging for everybody listening. What, if anything else, do you want us to really hold in our heart today, and that to really have us think about as we bring this interview to a wrap?
Oh, well, probably, I think it is about remembering what it means to be human. We are social pack animals that need each other. We upregulate our gene code by being in community. This is how we've always survived. The stress of isolation and outcasting someone is very, very hard on a human system. And I want you to be aware of that right now. We're designed to move, breathe, be in nature. We're highly emotional for a reason. We have empathy and compassion for a reason. And I think you should honor that. I think there's a lot of things about being human that get degraded in culture. Like, we sleep a lot by design. That's not wasted time. And there's a lot of the idea you don't need to be hustle and grinding and working. Like, that's not a normal human trait, actually. There's a lie and a myth that, in our hunter-gatherer days, we spent most of our time finding food. No, we didn't. We had a whole lot of time to be like making up stories and stuff, because they hunted and they would have a lot of meat and they were good to go. So this time is to remember, humans hug, touch, communicate, talk, tell stories, they laugh, they have deep and profound empathy and compassion for others. I think learning to adore and nurture your emotional responses and not numb them out is critical. I think this is the primary time that you should be adding meat, fish, and eggs to your diet to take control of something as simple as leptin that's controlling the immune system. You don't have to know all the details, but just give yourself permission to go, oh, right, this is what people have been eating for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. It must be really good for me. It's what humans have been doing. They haven't been eating frankenfoods for very long. Looking at artificial processed things in your life and trying to step away. I can acknowledge that this connects me to my mom, and I can FaceTime with her 800 miles away, and I am grateful for it. But that is a tool that I use from time to time. But me out in nature is something I can use all the time. So the power of My breath can calm me. The power of resting and using my mind. I have an amazing brain that can imagine things and fantasize, and that's awesome, right? It takes me in a state where I can have empathy with other people and have compassion for them, because me feeling compassion and showing compassion raises my immune system. It raises their immune system. And in the world of social media and what we're going through, there's a lot of compassion being gone, and there's a lot of attack, and if you might, that isn't human. Social media, this and this right here,
Yeah.
that is far from normal human, right? So you staying quarantined and isolated in your home, not a normal thing that humans do,
Yeah.
right? You being, think of that. If you lived 40,000 years ago, what would I do? You know, let's say, what would Jesus do? Yeah, what would Jesus do? Because there wasn't a laptop, there wasn't a cell phone, you know what I mean? So I think to remember, you know, fear is a destroyer of everything that feels good. And feeling good is the answer to everything. Doesn't mean I will never, you know, succumb to something. I have stressors in my life that are sometimes so big, you know, lack of sleep happens, loss of life happens, you know. It's not like I might never get a flu, you know, or catch anything, you know. It's about knowing, though, I trust my body to do the right thing, and I know I prepare. We have to prepare. Like, this little thing is just a blip. So if you're looking that you have hormonal issues, you're over fat right now, you have all these conditions, and you have a stack of prescriptions, I want you to know you can heal. You can start going back to being human, and your body will take you into a state of healing, and can come out of acute crisis, and you can get into doing pretty darn well with some simple things. And if you want to get to really peak performer optimized, you can get there as well. And don't let anybody tell you you've got to live with something for the rest of your life. That is a lie, you know. And so there's a huge spectrum of health here. These people living over here, they're really calm right now. They put in the work. They did put in the effort and the discipline it took. Over here, we can fix it really quick. Let's get you some breathing. Let's learn how to do that. Ditch the sugar, you guys. Okay, I'll say it. I am what somebody would call a carnivore doc. I think there's no better time than to go carnivore, which is extreme low carb. Or at least, like you said, go to low carb. You're going to keto. If you're going to add in seasonal vegetables and things, do it now. You will cut that leptin in half in about 12 to 24 hours. Give it 7 days, they suddenly can control all their white blood cells again. Their body can suddenly make antibodies the right way. It's a huge difference. So eating tons of cholesterol, which is used to, you know, heal the body and feed and nourish you, it makes it easy to stay calm and have compassion. So I say, be kind. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to everybody around you. Eat more meat, fish, and eggs. Practice nasal breathing every hour on the hour. How about that? That alone, and step away. Like, when you do get up from your computer, go outside and do a minute of nasal breathing every hour. And then when you want to have cake, eat a steak instead. And do it outside as much as you can.
I love it. It's just being able to put more of those human inputs, the things that are really innate to just our human self by design. And it's there, it's all available. Everything that you said today is doable. Nothing is complicated. Nothing is expensive. It's just a desire to look and be willing, just like Dr. Rimka started us with, the desire to be willing to start in this moment, to be still now, to be compassionate and kind to yourself. Be still outside in the sun. Be still breathing in the sun. Go ahead and nourish yourself, hydrate yourself, and above all else, love yourself. We are in this together, my friends. That's the journey of what it means to be human. Dr. Rimka, it is a joy to have had you with us today. Where can people find out more about you?
So there's a few places. YouTube, Dr. Rimka, on my YouTube channel. I'll be doing a lot more videos in there. I have a Facebook business page, Dr. Rimka's Brain and Body Solutions. Tons, probably 1,000 hours of free content in there. And my website, brainandbodysolutions.com. I'm also on Instagram. Yeah, so I try to be kind of
everywhere. She's everywhere. And we need you in all these places because you bring such wisdom and compassion. allowing each and every one of us to continue to flourish and thrive. So thank you for being our guest today. Thank each and every one of you, as always, for investing your time back into yourself so that you truly can nourish your brain, your body, your entire being, so that you can show up fully as intended to continue to make your impact. I'm Dr. Melissa. Thanks for tuning in.